Political turmoil escalates across Central Europe and South Asia, with violence linked to new features released in beta form on Tram, a social media platform with 4 billion users globally. Venice Parish, Tram's founder, makes light of the situation, joking about announcing major content tools with casual profanity, while dismissing concerns about their global impact. A colleague urges implementing AI to manage and mitigate the platform's effects. Venice reluctantly agrees to discuss this with Jeff to appease the board. Venice arranges to attend a poker gathering with friends including Jeff, suggesting tension exists between them despite maintaining friendly appearances. The scene shifts to a medical consultation where a wealthy patient named James receives devastating news about his condition, with a prognosis of 5 to 15 years. At the gathering location, preparations are made for guests, with particular attention to accommodating Venice as the most important visitor. News reports link violence in Libya to deepfakes generated using Tram's new content tools, describing the global release as pouring gasoline on a volatile situation. Friends Randy, Jeff, and Soups reunite at an extravagant property called Mountain Head, engaging in banter while monitoring concerning economic news from global markets. The group expresses concern about Venice, mentioning UN accusations that Tram is stoking racial tensions, though Randy defends Venice's business execution. Randy reveals he had cancer, but dismisses concerns, claiming the experience was positive for his personal growth and refusing to discuss his physical condition. Venice arrives at Mountain Head and reunites with the group amid awkward tension, particularly with Jeff, while news of violence related to Tram plays in background. Venice admits feeling overwhelmed by his platform's launch and personal issues, including a divorce, while the friends discuss concerning financial news and international violence connected to Tram. Tech executives gather to brainstorm a statement about new platform upgrades. They're excited about the technology and positioning themselves as better alternatives to Chinese competitors. Jeff argues that Tram's platform has become divisive, enabling dangerous deepfakes, personalized misinformation, and inciting violence through unfalsifiable content. Jeff mentions his AI system Billionaires, which he claims is superior at detecting fraud and moderating content without restricting speech. Negotiations begin about a potential partnership between competing AI systems, but quickly devolve into mockery and crude jokes. News reports describe violence in Armenia triggered by computer-generated fake news on Tram alleging military intervention plans. The scene shifts to an outdoor setting where the executives continue discussing the mounting pressure they face from their technology's impacts. They dismiss concerns about harm, comparing deaths from their technology to inevitable casualties at large events like the Super Bowl. Conversation shifts to transhumanism and uploading consciousness, with Venn suggesting it might be possible within 5 years with the right computing resources. The executives engage in a ritual comparing their net worths, with Venice at $220 billion, Randall at $63 billion, Jeff at $59 billion, and Hugo at $521 million. News arrives of a horrible incident where 300 to 400 people burned alive, somehow connected to their platform. Venice insists there's still a positive force. They discuss the steep learning curve in regions with new users, with Tram executives suggesting extremist content will eventually lead to understanding. The group discusses disturbing footage, noting much of it isn't real but is hyper-realistic. Someone receives news of a significant financial achievement, causing mixed reactions among the group. Despite reluctance, they celebrate with champagne as Jeff has become the second-ranking Brewster, leapfrogging someone in Thailand. Jeff expresses discomfort about profiting during widespread chaos. They debate the authenticity of violence in footage. Someone mentions a man in Kentucky who attacked his neighbor over supplies. The situation is described as toxic but not terminal. Jeff faces pressure to speak with Misha and announce help from his board. There's tension about a built-in filter and whether to push forward with their plans despite the chaos. They observe Argentina falling into chaos with hyperinflation. The global economic situation deteriorates, with the global south experiencing hyperinflation and credit crunches in the north. The president wants to speak with Ven, creating tension. Meanwhile, they discuss inappropriate catering plans for what was supposed to be a casual poker night. They philosophize about being at a moment of tremendous creative destruction, comparing it to historical turning points like Mesopotamian civilization and the invention of movable type. The group discusses taking over failing nations, proposing backing crypto network states in countries like Argentina, Venezuela, or Cuba, viewing El Salvador as a potential test case. News breaks of the Paris mayor's assassination and massive protests in Red Square. Someone notes they can't stop the content flow, comparing it to halting a slave revolt halfway. They discuss a theory of historical progress called the "what? Cool" principle, suggesting that despite initial disruption, innovations eventually lead to improved conditions. The conversation turns to Turkey and Armenia's conflict and widespread unrest, with some viewing it as a potentially cathartic draining of historical hatreds and resentments. They speculate about the collapse of traditional financial systems and the rise of blockchain, wondering if they're becoming the architects of a new techno-world order. Plans emerge to expand influence southward through Latin America, with someone suggesting they'll reach Caracas by Christmas. Ven prepares to speak with the president. After the call, Ven reports the president is scared and uninformed. The group shockingly discusses the possibility of a coup against the United States government. A group discusses taking on the U.S. government. They realize with their technological control, they could neutralize American military capabilities by cutting off systems and using drones against them. The group contemplates a takeover, with one member declining the role of interim president. Someone notices their water has been cut off, leading to paranoid theories. Tensions rise as one member becomes agitated about perceived threats. The group moves to a bunker downstairs to avoid potential danger from outside. The group becomes excited about their plans to take over the world rather than making incremental improvements. They discuss unleashing AI and achieving post-human status. A joke about nanotechnology allowing them to become tiny and live inside each other. One member suggests causing brownouts in Western Europe as a show of force. A shocking suggestion emerges about killing Jeff, quickly reframed as a metaphorical placeholder for stopping him without actual murder. The group discusses how removing Jeff could lead to technological breakthroughs in AGI, nanotechnology, and life extension. The group attempts to justify their thinking through various philosophical frameworks including Kant, utilitarianism, and the greater good. The conversation becomes increasingly disturbing as they discuss the practicalities of eliminating Jeff, noting how fragile humans are. They consider legal implications, suggesting they might secure a presidential pre-pardon through connections to protect themselves. The group discusses brutal methods for elimination, including armed thugs, while considering how to control the narrative afterward. They debate whether to hire someone or do it themselves, with one suggesting the Nietzschean approach would be to handle it personally. The plan evolves to potentially stage an accident involving alcohol and drugs that they simply wouldn't prevent. The conversation shifts to concerning violence in Mexico, with people being falsely named as informants and facing violent consequences. Jeff is lured to look at something described as fractal scenarios, creating a tense situation as someone prepares to show him something. A group discusses a poorly designed relaxation app that creates stress rather than alleviates it. The conversation is interrupted by a dangerous prank that nearly injures someone named Jeff. The prank creates tension in the group. Jeff is upset and needs space, while the others try to apologize for their actions. Jeff confronts the group about their behavior, feeling they set him up because they think he's stupid. He expresses frustration about his business failures. The person nicknamed Soups laments his struggling business Slozo, comparing himself to a pharaoh in a tomb and worrying he'll end up in a soup kitchen despite his wealthy friends. The group discusses a plan involving hunting and possibly harming Soups. They mention AI initiatives and potentially incorporating a meditation app into a lifestyle super app. A private conversation occurs where someone expresses affection, but there's tension about business relationships. One person mentions not selling and suggests someone named Ven should step back. The group discusses Jeff's emotional approach, dismissing it as manipulative. They contemplate taking advantage of someone taking sleeping pills. The group prepares for something significant, comparing their actions to historical figures before battle. They discuss methods for killing someone. A debate ensues about the most effective way to kill someone, whether targeting blood flow, air, or directly attacking the brain. They eventually decide on using a pillow. The group attempts to smother someone with a pillow while also striking them with a bowling ball. Their victim continues to struggle despite their efforts. The murder attempt fails. The group decides to drown their victim in a bathtub instead. Revealing their motive is related to technology, the victim refuses to sell. The victim fights back, questioning the logic of their attack. The assailants debate whether to continue their murder attempt, citing sunk cost fallacy and fear of reprisals. A group realizes they've trapped someone named Jeff in a room with no exit. Despite their initial concern, they congratulate themselves on their accomplishment. The group confirms they have full control of the house systems. They split up to search for Jeff, who appears to be trapped somewhere in the building. They successfully contain Jeff, referring to the situation as the pig is in the pen. They debate how to eliminate him, considering turning up heat or using gas. Jeff proposes a poker game. If he wins, he lives. He offers to give up control of something called Bilter, keeping only the rump. They agree to consider Jeff's proposal, but leave him confined while they discuss. Jeff becomes agitated, threatening them and damaging his credibility. The scene shifts to lawyers and crisis PR specialists arriving. A deal is finalized, with someone called Super being bought out for $2 billion. Jeff is released and appears the next morning, dehydrated from his night in the sauna. The atmosphere is tense as he joins them for breakfast. Jeff expresses his hurt that his friends tried to kill him. The group offers half-hearted apologies, and Jeff presents them with an expensive whiskey gift. Jeff meets with someone named Hess, who is followed and frightened. Jeff suggests they relocate to LA before moving to New Zealand. Someone confesses it was Randall's idea, making excuses about being under pressure. Jeff reveals he plans to back out of everything he signed. Jeff proposes getting rid of Randall and making a deal. There's tension about the future of Jeff's platform, leading to a side bet. The scene ends with a meditation session guided by someone called Slozo, instructing to inhale and exhale, suggesting an attempt to process the intense events.
Let's take